Hi, I'm Dave Kale. Welcome to this Christian Business Insights podcast show where my goal is to provide you with practical, actionable ideas to help you create businesses and careers of excellence and at the same time multiply your influence for the kingdom. I have been a Christian in business for over 30 years, and I have personally and contractually consulted with over 500 different sales organizations. So in these podcasts, I combine the lessons that I have learned with an out-of-the-box experience and perspective on Christianity that you will find challenging. And we put that together to provide you with practical insights and ideas that you can use to live better and lead better. Welcome to the journey. Hi, this is Dave. Would you like to be a greater force for the kingdom in your job or your business? I think actually most marketplace Christians would, yet most of us are really not as fruitful as we could be. So the question is, why? Why is that? That's what we're going to look at today. You know, there's lots of reasons. I think there's lots of reasons for that, for the fact that most marketplace Christians are not nearly as fruitful as we would all like to be. There's lots of reasons. I see two that rise to the top. Now, stick with me and see if this doesn't apply to you. The first of those two reasons has to do with busyness. Busyness. You know, many of us are overwhelmed with worldly issues, and we believe that we're just too busy to spend any time working on the spiritual side of our jobs and our businesses. I can understand. We've all been there. It's like we're standing at the base of a waterfall with tons of things to do continually falling around us. It's a constant challenge to keep our heads above water. I got it. Because these tasks that constantly bombard us seem so urgent, they pop to the head of the list. And as a result, we're focused on the world instead of on Christ and His kingdom. Things to do capture our time and attention before we realize it. So we tell ourselves and everyone else that we're just too busy. And as a result, we choose not to invest in, say, a regular lunch with a Christian colleague, or we pass on that opportunity, join a Christian business group, you know, maybe meets for a few hours every month. Why? Because we're too busy. We skip reading that Christian business newsletter because we're just too busy. I wonder if the real cause of this condition, being, quote, too busy, is not the cascade of distractions in our lives, but rather a lack of faith. You know, it takes a bit of faith to say no to a bevy of tasks in order to create some time to say yes to Christ. And that requires an active will and an intentional choice. We've got to believe that God is invested in our marketplace lives and will be active in them if we just give Him some time. We need to believe that He will reward our investment in His things by blessing our efforts beyond that which we could have achieved on our own. We need to believe a little bit. It's not a matter of time management, but rather faith management. James said, faith without works is dead. If we're going to have faith, we must sooner or later express it. And the place where that expression has the greatest impact is the marketplace, where we already have relationships, where we already have influence. That's where our faith will have the greatest impact. Too busy is an excuse that covers over a lack of faith. The solution is the intentional application of a bit of faith to our schedules. So what if we just blocked off a half hour a week to focus on things spiritual? A half hour a week. Wow. The second place that Christians in the marketplace get knocked off course is in our view of work. Some of us have a distorted view of our place in the kingdom, believing that our attendance at an institutional church service is one thing and our activity in the marketplace is something else. And so we compartmentalize our faith and our work, believing the two are separate. And it's easy to understand why this idea is so common, as it's espoused by many of the institutional churches. These are the folks who preach that the only purpose for business is to create income to give to them. They're oblivious to the role of the marketplace in God's plan, and they hold to a position which in effect takes millions of Christians out of the great struggle between good and evil and sits them on the bench. The idea that work is separate from Christian faith is one of mankind's greatest lies. Paul wrote, quote, "And whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him." Whatever you do, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. That's Colossians 3:17. Whatever you do means just that. It includes all that we do in our workplace lives. There's no separation of the marketplace from our Christianity in the Bible. In fact, just the opposite is true. You know, when I was doing the research for my book, The Good Book on Business, I discovered that, among other things, the marketplace is God's first choice for a venue in which to engage with mankind. That spiritual gifts were first used in a business environment, and that most of the great leaders in the Bible developed their character in the world of business. Business and the marketplace are central to God's plan. When we deny that, we take millions of Christian business people and place them on the sidelines. Instead of influencing the world around them with a little taste of God's love and provision, they ignore their role as Christians in the marketplace, and in so doing, they deny millions of people across time and across geography of exposure to the presence of God through the lives of Christians at work. What an incredible shame. As our world grows more treacherous and more evil influenced, our impact as intentional Christians in the marketplace yields greater impact. As Mordecai said to Esther, "And who knows, but you have come to your position for such a time as this." Well, hey, before I go, I just want to encourage you to go out and buy and read The Good Book on Business. The Good Book on Business. It's an exploration of what the Bible has to say about business. Your view of business will never be the same. Okay, I put a link in the show notes for The Good Book on Business. You can click on it, or you can buy it wherever books are sold, Christian books are sold. Okay? That's it for today. We're done. Bye-bye.